The training grounds of the Feliner Academy stretched across 3 hectares of precisely maintained terrain, designed to test every physical and mental capability of the galaxy's most elite warriors. Alara stood at the entrance, her breath forming small clouds in the crisp morning air, watching as dozens of instructors barked orders at their respective units. This was the moment she had trained for, the moment that would either validate humanity's place among the stars or confirm the suspicions of those who believed her species was too fragile, too soft for this life. The Feliner were legendary. 7-foot-tall felines with reflexes that bordered on precognitive and strength that could bend duralloy. They had dominated the Galactic Coalition's military forces for 3 centuries. Their training program accepted less than 2% of applicants, and of those, barely half survived to graduation. No human had ever completed it. Alara intended to be the first. As she stepped onto the grounds, every eye turned toward her. The instructors paused mid-command. The trainees, hundreds of young Feliner in various stages of their education, stopped their exercises. The sudden silence was deafening. Then came the sound that would change everything, the high-pitched yipping of the cubs, from the far end of the field, where the youngest initiates were being put through basic agility drills. A small shape broke formation. Then another, and another. Within seconds, a dozen cat cubs had abandoned their exercises and were bounding across the training ground, their spotted fur rippling as they ran with that peculiar combination of grace and clumsiness that only the very young possess. Back in formation, their instructor roared, his massive frame tensing with barely contained fury. Initiates, return at once. They didn't listen. They couldn't, because they had caught Alara's scent, and something ancient and instinctive had taken over. The lead cub, a small male with distinctive silver markings around his eyes, reached Alara first. He didn't attack, didn't show aggression. Instead, he pressed his small body against her legs, purring with such intensity that she could feel the vibration through her boots. "Kiro," the instructor bellowed. "Get back here this instant." But Kiro was already climbing. His small claws found purchase in the reinforced fabric of Alara's training suit, and he scrambled up to her shoulder, where he proceeded to nuzzle against her neck with complete abandon. The other cubs arrived moments later, creating a furry, purring mass around her legs, their tails waving like flags of unconditional surrender. Alara stood frozen, uncertain how to react. She had prepared for hostility, for challenges, for tests of strength and endurance. She had not prepared for this. The head instructor, a grizzled veteran named Commander Threx, whose scars told stories of 100 battles, strode across the field. His expression was unreadable, but his tail lashed with what could have been anger, or something else entirely. "Explain yourself, human," he growled, his voice carrying the weight of authority that had sent thousands of warriors into combat. I don't understand what's happening, sir," Alara replied honestly, trying not to move too much as Kiro adjusted his position on her shoulder, his small paws kneading her collarbone. Threx studied her for a long moment, his golden eyes narrowed. Then, surprisingly, his whiskers twitched in what might have been amusement. "Of course you don't. How could you?" He turned to the assembled crowd, which had grown to include nearly every person on the training grounds. "Observe, initiates. This is what our intelligence briefings failed to capture about humanity. This is why they are more dangerous than their physical limitations suggest." Alara's confusion must have shown on her face because Threx continued, his tone shifting to something almost educational. "Our young do not behave this way with strangers. Feliner cubs are cautious, defensive, often aggressive when confronted with unknown species. But with you," he gestured at the purring mass surrounding her, "they react as if you are safe. Not just safe, as if you are home." Another instructor, a female with midnight black fur, stepped forward. "It's the warmth," she said, her voice thoughtful. "Humans run hot, much hotter than we do. The cubs sense it, and their instincts tell them you're a source of comfort." "It's more than warmth," Threx countered. "Watch her body language. She hasn't moved aggressively once, hasn't shown dominance. Most species, when surrounded by our young, either display submission or aggression. She shows neither. She shows care." Alara carefully lowered herself to a sitting position, mindful of the cubs around her. Kiro adjusted his perch, moving to her lap, where he circled twice before settling down. "On Earth," she said quietly, We have animals called cats. Small ones. They're companions, friends. We've lived alongside them for thousands of years. You domesticated predators? Another instructor asked, incredulous. No, Alara corrected, reaching up to gently scratch behind Kiro's ears. The cub's purring intensified. We coexisted. They chose to live with us as much as we chose to live with them. We learned their language, their needs, how to make them feel safe. Threx's tail had stopped lashing. He was watching her with an intensity that made Alara's combat instincts trigger warning signals. And this comes naturally to your species? To many of us, yes. We form bonds with other creatures. It's part of who we are. The commander was silent for a long moment. Then he did something that shocked everyone present. He laughed. It was a deep, rumbling sound that seemed to come from the very core of his massive chest. Do you understand what you've done, human? He asked, his amusement evident. Our cubs are the harshest judges of character in the galaxy. They sense deception, malice, weakness. They have never, not once in 3 centuries of coalition training, reacted to an alien species this way. He turned to address the assembled crowd again. This human will train with us, and any who have a problem with that will answer to me personally. His gaze swept across the instructors, daring anyone to object. None did. Threx looked back at Alara, and for the first time, she saw respect in his eyes. But understand this, Alara of Earth. You will receive no special treatment. The cubs may have claimed you as one of their own, but that makes your burden heavier, not lighter. You will be held to our standards. You will be tested as we are tested. And if you fail, you will fail knowing you had every advantage we could give you. Alara stood, carefully setting Kiro on the ground. The cub protested with a small mew, but didn't try to climb back up. She met Threx's gaze directly, her spine straight, her voice steady. I understand, sir. And I'm ready. Good, Threx said, his whiskers twitching again. Because your first test begins now. Cubs. Formation. The young feliner, including Kiro, immediately snapped to attention, forming a perfect line. Their playfulness vanished, replaced by the discipline that would one day make them warriors. Your first lesson, Threx told Alara, is this. Those who protect the young must be stronger than those who only protect themselves. You will train with the cubs. You will keep pace with them. And if any of them fall because you cannot maintain their speed, you will fail. It was an impossible standard. The cubs, even at their young age, could run faster and jump higher than any human. But as Alara looked at Kiro's small face, at the trust in his eyes, she felt something ignite within her chest. I won't let them down, she said. And she meant it as the training began. As Alara pushed her body beyond limits she thought existed, she understood something profound. The feliner had not accepted her because of her strength or her combat skills. They had accepted her because she possessed something their warrior culture had almost forgotten. The ability to nurture, to protect, to care. To humanity's strength, she realized, wasn't in matching the physical capabilities of other species. It was in their capacity to love fiercely, to bond deeply, and to fight not just for victory, but for those they had sworn to protect. And that, in the end, would make all the difference.